Today, we're talking about a boat. A boat? Oh, you thought we were talking about this movie. No. This week on the Dissect That Film podcast, we're talking about 2002's Ghost Ship. Let's sail the high seas, baby, and fight some ghosts. Let's go.
Your host, Parker, Dan, and Angela, slice and dice their way through the good.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
The bad.
You brought the devil!
There's a devil inside everyone.
And the ugly movies you love.
And you can't piss on hospitality. I won't allow it!
Hold your favorite films and franchises tight, because they aren't safe. In fact, it's already too late. It's time to dissect that film.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Dissect That Film podcast, a podcast that dissects the good, the bad, and the ugly of cinema. I am your host, Brett Parker. Joining me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Dan and Angela of DNA Gaming.
Hello. Oh, no.
Don't let go, Jack. Don't let go, Jack.
Don't let go. Get him on the door, damn it.
And it was the iceberg too.
The iceberg's like, I'm fucking out. It's detached.
He's like, I did it once. I don't need to do it again. Oh my God. So yeah, it was a last second thing trying to figure out how we're going to intro this thing. And I mean, for anyone who's listened to the show for a long time, I'd be like, but they already talked about Titanic. You're right. We did. Yeah. We have a great episode about Titanic. So you should check that out. But this week, we're talking about another boat movie. We're talking about a boat movie that won our Patreon poll for the month of July, and it was Angela's pick. We're talking about 2002's Ghost Ship, which is a movie that literally is remembered for one scene and one scene only. And it's quite sad because, to be honest, the movie has more to it that's interesting. Mm-hmm. Some of it is kind of generic and kind of paint by numbers, but you're going to find out way more today as we go through the entire plot of Ghost Ship. But let's go around the room and talk about our history with this movie. And let's start with the person who won our Patreon poll, Angela. Angela, why did you pick Ghost Ship?
Because it was a ghost ship. I have not watched this movie before.
Oh my God. She was just Googling. She's like, Ghost Ship?
I was like, what? I forget what I put. And it was one of the top 10 that came up on Google, and I was like, sure, I like ghosts and ships. This should be good.
I like ghosts and ships.
Well, okay, so what was the other one that I said that I was gonna pick?
I don't remember, but I'm gonna quote something really esoteric here in a minute. I don't remember.
It was definitely not a movie that would have gone over very well. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, I was like, this one looks good. Why not? And then I showed him before I actually put it in, and he's like, yeah. I was like, okay, this is gonna be good.
Dan, what's your history with Ghost Ship?
Nothing. I just remember the poster. I literally just remember the poster when it came out. That's it. Like I never watched this. Like this was even when I was like in my hey, let's watch movies phase. Right. But no, I got nothing.
Okay,
I guess all I remember is seeing the poster, and if people mention Ghost Ship, my thought is the movie's probably a piece of shit, not a piece of ship, a piece of shit.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm the only one who actually has a history with this movie. I remember seeing the cover at my local Hollywood Video, and I was like, that looks cool. And so I rented it quite a bit growing up. It was always on TV once in a while, like the censored versions, of course, because this is a rated R movie, and it had titties in it. So of course they weren't going to show that on TV. They do now, but they didn't back then. But yeah, I watched this a lot, and to the point where literally my brother asked me if he wanted to watch Ghost Ship with me soon because it was a movie we watched a lot as kids, and I went, yeah, well, I am. because we're covering it on the podcast. It was so weird. It was like 2 days before before today, where he asked me to watch it with him, just to, like, hang out and watch it. I was like, "Well, I'm watching it."
There you go.
So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely one I have not seen in a very long time. Like, this is not one you catch on TV anymore. I don't even know where this wasn't streaming anywhere. It was pretty much if you I was even trying to, like, go to, like, Goodwill or, like, places that would have, like, cheap DVDs to see if I could find the DVD of this just to own it. Because this was one, like, I remember enjoying as a kid, but how is it gonna be as an adult? Well, I'll let you know at the end after we go through the plot of the movie. So this movie was directed by Steve Beck, who also directed 13 Ghosts, and then didn't direct anything else. That's it. He directed 2 movies. But he also
did he do, you said 13 goes after this, right?
this was 2002. 13 Ghosts was 2001. So it was like
okay, fair enough.
But he also worked for ILM, or Industrial Light and Magic. He did effects work for The Hunt for Red October, The Abyss, and Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. It was produced by Joel Silver, Robert Zemeckis. Yeah, that Robert Zemeckis and Gilbert Adler. They were the ones who founded Dark Castle, which was the production company that did 13 Ghosts, did a lot of these, like, late 90s, early 2000s horror movies. But seeing Robert Zemeckis' name in the credits of Ghost Ship, I was like, huh? What?
Excuse me?
Yeah. It was written by Mark Hanlon and John Pogue. Mark Hanlon wrote one movie before this, and then John Pogue wrote U.S. Marshals, the Skulls movies. Do you remember the Skulls? Had, like, Paul Walker. It was like a cult, or like one of those, like, underground organization movies, like college fraternity, like dark fraternity type thing.
Oh, I think I recall this.
He directed Deep Blue Sea 3. Figured I'd mention that since we just covered Deep Blue Sea.
Boy.
And the sequel to Eraser, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, but he wasn't in the sequel, but he directed that one. So there are your writers, directors, and producers. This movie stars Juliana Margulies, who I think she was well known for ER, and then she did the show The Good Wife. That's like the 2 big things that she did in her career. She's been in quite a few movies. Like, I remember her from this, and then I remember her from Snakes on a Plane.
Okay.
So there was a whole thing with her where she actually got the original script. The original script was supposed to be way different than this. It was supposed to be the fact that it was mostly a, like, psychological thriller type thing where it wasn't supernatural. It wasn't going to be very gory. It was actually supposed to be bloodless. And she signed on to the movie, got to Australia where it was being filmed, and she got a new script, and it was a completely different movie. And she literally read through it, and she was like, I thought I was going to be in, like, a good, like, psychological thriller, something that was going to be, like, thought-provoking. And by the time I got there, I was just going to be in a really bad horror movie. And she's like, but at that point, it was too late for me to back out of it, because it was literally, like, the day before shooting. So she was kind of stuck. And I guess she disowns this movie, even though I just mentioned she was in a movie called Snakes on a Plane, which, don't get me wrong, it's not a terrible movie. It's fun, but it's like, you were in a movie called Snakes on a Plane, and you're really going to disown a movie called Ghost Ship.
Dude,
okay.
Well, listen, I will tell you this much. Ghost Ship has I've never seen Snakes on a Plane, mind you. I just haven't. Okay, just everybody chill the fuck out, because I'm going, what? No snakes on a plane? Like, no. All right.
With these
They're either in the
snakes.
jungle or they got fucking wings. That's the only thing snakes are doing for me. Anyway, Reptilicus is a snake. But anyway, now it is in the head can. I had a point I was going to make.
You got too excited about Reptilicus.
So, I did get excited about Reptilicus, correct. Ghost Ship has a way better, in my opinion, song about it, or like tie-in, than Snakes on a Plane. No offense to the Venom in Your Eyes song or whatever. It's a fine song.
I love that song.
It's a fine song.
That music video plays in the credits of that movie.
It's not Falling by Mudvayne. It's just not.
Oh, yeah.
So,
They don't have Mudvayne on there.
You're not wrong.
oh, I do have information. Dark Castle still does exist.
I was just about to say
Fuck. Go ahead. No, go.
They did the 2022 Orphan remake.
Okay.
Yeah,
all
and the
right.
original.
Yep. Okay.
But he said he didn't know that they were still around. That
I wasn't
was
sure, but
2022,
then
they still are.
I remember, yeah, because it was like that really cool neon looking thing in the new one.
But to build off what she said, they have a film coming out in 2024.
Okay.
So they have one in 2025 and another in production. And the one in 2025, if it actually fucking happens, sounds terrifying and I won't watch it. It's about a deep sea diver that gets untethered at 100 meters below the sea. Nope, won't watch it.
Yeah, that is terrifying.
That's why I couldn't watch what's her face in the space movie. And she
was it Gravity? No, it's not Gravity, is it?
Maybe. I don't know. She's the one that
Planet 51. Oh no, that's a different movie.
That she gets knocked around in space and gets untethered. I'm like, nope, because that's one of my fears. Rational fear kicking in. I'll never be in space, but
yes, ration your fears, folks, please.
So I just found what the original plot was supposed to be of the first script, which actually sounded pretty cool. So it was supposed to focus on the crew of this salvage ship or salvage boat, and they were going to be stranded on a ghost ship, but not like a ship full of ghosts, but more just a ship that's just vacant. There's nobody there. And like over the course of the night, each member was going to be like starting to go crazy due to like cabin fever, panic. And then I guess there was supposed to be some sort of supernatural force kind of manipulating things. And then they each like go insane and plot to kill each other. So it sounds pretty cool, actually. I would have liked to see that play out.
I like it better when it was done on SpongeBob. Where the Flying Dutchman tells him to become part of his ghostly crew because SpongeBob tells Squidward that his cereal box had a baby from the sky. And Squidward gets tied in because he makes fun of the Flying Dutchman's mom. He's like, insulting a man's ship is worse. No, he's like, insulting a man's ship is worse than insulting his mother. He's like, no, it was his mother you said was dirty. Anyway, sorry. Stupid. I'm sorry.
So, but pretty much what happened was that when they changed the script, they're like, we want to do The Shining, but on a boat. That was pretty much their main. Yeah,
that's what I got from it.
That was it.
Really? Like I was like, no, like I wasn't even thinking that at all.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yep. We have Gabriel Byrne as Murphy. He is ultimately the downfall of this movie. He is like not the fact that he was bad in it, but the fact that he is the reason at the majority of this.
Yeah, choices.
Everything.
Choices.
I mean, he's been active for a long time. He was in The Usual Suspects. He was in a movie a few years ago called Hereditary, which is one of those movies that people either hate or they love. That's one that I think we should cover at some point because that is, that is one I've still never seen. I just bought it on Blu-ray, so.
Stigmata, I believe he was in that.
Oh yes, he was in Stigmata. Yeah, he was in The Man in the Iron Mask. He was in the original Little Women from the 90s.
Oh,
yeah.
They weren't little girls anymore.
No.
They were little women.
We have Ron Eldard as Dodge, which I looked at him and I was like, is that it looks like the singer of The Who.
Yeah.
What's the singer of The Who's name? Something Daltrey.
Probably.
I can't remember. Roger Daltrey. But I guess he dated Juliana Margulies for like 11 years and as like it was like less than a year after this movie came out, they broke up.
It was this movie's fault.
It was literally this movie broke them up. Oh, we have Desmond Harrington as Jack. I just remember him as the dick Joe Quinn on Dexter.
Yes,
he
plays a
Dexter,
dick
man.
and everything.
He really did. He was in The Dark Knight Rises too. He was the cop who was like, "Do not cross this bridge, or I will blow it up." Yeah, he was that guy.
Yep.
We have Isaiah Washington as Greer. He was well
Dr.
known
Burke!
for from Grey's Anatomy, right?
Yeah.
And he got fired from that show because he wasn't very nice to people.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah. I don't know him. I to be honest, I think this was the only movie I remember him from. So, we have Alex Dimitriades as Carlos. Trying to look through what he's done in his career, and I don't. He was in Deuce Bigalow, European Gigolo.
Oh, okay. The one I didn't watch.
Because he's not.
Carl Urban's in this movie. I love Carl.
He is.
I love him. I mean, he's been in so many things. I mean, Lord of the Rings is probably what most people will point him out as, and I think that's why he has long hair in this movie, because he was in the middle of doing Lord of the Rings while this was made, because Lord of the Rings was 01 to 03, and this was in 02, so I'm guessing that. And this was also filmed in Australia, which Lord of the Rings was filmed in New Zealand, so very easy for him probably to go back and forth. Probably was filming this while he was doing Lord of the Rings.
You think it's like, hey, Peter, can I have like a week or two to go like drop another movie real quick? Like I told this dude I'd do it, and I kind of forgot.
Can't cut your hair. He's like, that's fine. I can put it up in a ponytail.
It's like Spectre Freighter or something. I don't remember the movie,
but he's also my favorite Judge Dredd as well.
I still need to see that movie.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I enjoy the Sylvester Stallone Judge Dredd, but Dredd is awesome, and Carl Urban kills it. But he's also in The Boys, which is one of my favorite shows right now.
The Boys.
He is one of the main characters.
I've heard a lot of good stuff about that.
We have Emily Browning as our ghost girl. I'm just going to call her that. Her name is Katie, but she's Ghost Girl. I know her from this was like the first thing I think I seen her in. She was in a series of unfortunate events, the movie with Jim Carrey. She was in Sucker Punch. She's been in a bunch of stuff. She's been around the business for a while. Francesca Rettondini, who plays Francesca, who's the
lady.
She is. She's the singer. She didn't know any English during, she's Italian. She knew no English, so she had to have a translator to communicate with the director during her scenes. I guess 12 years after this movie, 10 years after this movie came out, she was actually involved in a ship sinking while she was working on like some sort of reality show. Yeah. So, and I guess one of the questions,
guys, don't worry. I don't want to do this.
Well, I guess some stupid reporter asked her, it's like, oh, so it was like Ghost Ship? And she's like, no, because that was a movie. This was real life where people died.
Yeah. And I didn't have to get naked for this one.
Yeah.
But she didn't provide the singing voice of Francesca. That was Monica Mancini who did the singing voice. We have Rob Ruggiero as Captain Ruggiero. I guess the Italian actors, they just gave them their actual names as their character names. Okay, that's fine.
So I have a question about a scene she is in, Francesca, later.
Okay.
Remind me, and I will mention it because I asked Angela, and it really fucking threw me for a loop. But
this was.
You asked me the question, I never looked it up.
This was like some of the most VFX work for an Australian VFX company. It was done by Proton VFX, and they had never done a movie with this amount of VFX work, so it was a big deal for the company.
Yeah,
they did a lot of like the insides of the ship was like CGI miniature work, but the outside, of course, was they made a 35-foot ship made done up with CGI. They also did miniature work on the outside of the ship. A lot of miniature work, a lot of CGI. It kind of blends well. There is some shoddy CGI in this movie, but to be honest, I thought the CGI looked pretty decent for 2002.
It was fine.
It wasn't anything to really like pinpoint. It's like, ooh, that doesn't look good. I guess this ship was the ship used in the movie was based off of a ship called the SS Andrea Doria, which was a ship that sank, back. I think it was like it sank in 1956, so pretty close to when this movie takes place, at least in the beginning. But it was a a cruise ship. It was an Italian cruise ship. Supposedly Italian cruise ships, like they state in the movie that Italian cruise ships were like faster than most cruise ships that were made at that time. And also the fact that this ship is just kind of like floating there and no one knows where it's at, or like people are just seeing it. This is actually real. Like there are ships that are still just floating out in the ocean with no one on them. And it's really creepy.
Yeah. Oh, 100%, dude.
So yeah, this had a quick production. It was the production for the movie started in January and it was released in October, as it was released October 25th, 2002, on a budget of $20 million and had a box office of $68.3 million. So it actually did well at the box office, even though it did not get very good reviews. But it ran at 91 minutes, which is good time. Good old 90 minutes. The music was done by John Frizzle, who we've talked about before, as he also did the music for Alien Resurrection. He also did music for a lot of Mike Judge's stuff, like Beavis and Butthead, Office Space,
there you go,
and King of the Hill.
Okay.
All right. I think that's about it for behind the scenes.
Okay.
Are we
Let's
ready
do it.
To
Oh gosh, dude.
thing?
Whoa.
Whoa,
Okay.
Whoa.
There wasn't much build up for that, dude. Like you can't slide it in like that.
All
You
right,
gotta
here we
warm it
go.
up a little bit.
It's time to dissect that film.
That's the win.
So the movie starts with some very cheery, classic opening credits to a movie that you're like, wait a second, is this really the credits for the movie GhostShip? It's like this cheery, like 50s television font, like you're about to watch The Love Boat.
We were like, are we watching the right movie?
Yeah, it's like
I don't
it's like
know if
pink
we are,
letters.
but allegedly, and it's the fonts that really like an interesting font.
Yeah, bright and happy things are about to happen in this movie, and you're like, oh, I'm all snuggled up and ready to go. But that's not what you're about to get, because we're on an Italian cruise liner, and everybody's having a good time. You have hot lady on the stage singing her song, all seductive, and which I got to talk about her dress when we get to the part later where she exposes herself, because I'm like, the fuck is that? But I digress. So everybody's inside, they're having a good time. Then we go outside, everybody's dancing. You see a little girl, she's sitting there, she's got her like blocks, and then some creepy dude walks up to her and he's like, let me fix those blocks. I'm like, she's a child, sir. Let's not with the eyes. Let's stop that. But he like forms it so it's like, I'm so bored. I think that's what it said on the block.
Yeah.
And so he gives that back to her. There's no dialogue. It's just the singing in the score, and that's all you get. So the captain comes up to her and asks her for a dance. So they go out on the dance floor. Everybody's having a good time. But then you see there's something nefarious going on behind the scenes, as you see this cable is being kind of pulled through a winch, and then all hell breaks loose as it lets go and just sends it through all of the passengers on the outside. Now, it only shows the outside of the ship. We don't know what happened inside yet, but it fucks all these people up. Now, here's my thing, and I know it's a question that people have asked countless times since this movie's come out, since this is the scene people remember this movie for.
Yeah.
Because there are so many people, like, even when we get to their comments later, it's a lot of comments are the beginning of the movie is the most memorable part of this movie, and then I don't remember anything else. So everybody's either they're like, people are like chopped in half. They're like, oh man, the one is like the dude gets chopped like at his like waist, and his clothes start to like fall off him. And then the wife is still like has him and like holding him and dancing, and he's just splitting from his legs. And oh man, it's brutal. It's not like this quick thing where it's like, yep, everyone's dead. No, it shows you like just people just falling apart on the dance floor and blood everywhere.
They dwell on it.
Oh yeah,
They do, but it's almost like I saw it coming, but then I'm like, did it really hit everybody? Because nobody's moving. Like nothing
Yeah.
happens.
Oh, it's a great
And
setup.
then
Yeah.
it starts happening. It was really cool.
It's a great setup because it's the first thing you notice. Like everyone's still, there's no noise,
Yep.
but then you see the blood come out of the guy's pants.
Yep.
And you're like, oh shit. And then everybody, it just, I like, and then you got the woman like laying on the ground and she's like trying to grab her legs
Yeah.
to read.
Yeah.
But we then get to the part where you're just like, huh, how did that happen? So the girl is still alive. She didn't get hit. And she looks up and the captain seems fine for a second, but then his whole top of his head slides off. And you're like, huh? How? So my only thought would be is that the cable was high up. And it wasn't like it went straight across the dance floor. My thought process was that it dropped and it kind of swung. And so that's why you have like different parts of people's bodies that get chopped off instead of it being consistently like at the waist. Originally in the script, it was supposed to be everyone just got decapitated, but I guess that was too much. I was like, too much. This is like,
did you see the movie?
This is like Saving Private Ryan, like on a fucking cruise ship. Like, what's happening here? What are you talking about? But the fact that she survives is always just like a.
I question that
here.
because
like,
they were kind of standing in the middle of everybody.
Right. Yeah.
So how did it happen all around her and he got his face?
So
I don't know.
When you first see him, he's kind of hunched over her. Like he's not just standing straight. He's kind of like covering her. Like how was he going to, how did he know that was going to happen to begin with to be able to protect her? So
He's the captain of the ship.
But he must have like, when you see him again, he's like standing more straight. So maybe he was like hunched over it, like got him in the face or whatever. But it was like, I get it. I get the questions, but it's still a crazy scene.
Oh yeah.
Still hits today. 22 years later, I'm still like, damn, that scene's insane.
It's a good scene. And there's some good practical, like some really good fucking practical effects.
Very good practical effects. And then of course you get the she screams and then it kind of morphs into 2002. Where
our version was weird because like when she screamed, it just had, because we had subtitles in parentheses, it just said screams in Italian.
Did it really?
No, not really. No,
I really
God,
wish
no.
it said that.
Fucking hilarious.
Hilarious. Screams in Italian.
Well, this is ironic because I was making the Italian job joke just the other day. So this works. But Garrett, go ahead.
Well, I mean, sometimes the subtitles are weird because so Francesca is an Italian singer because this is an Italian cruise line. There's one point where she's singing and it says singing in Spanish. And I was like, I don't think she's singing in Spanish.
Yeah.
Ours said like speaking in Spanish at one. I was like, and then she said "see," and I had to ask her, "Is that used in Italian?" Apparently, it is.
It is. Yeah.
I don't. I didn't know that, and I think it's just the auto dub, the auto subtitling just didn't
probably
do it right.
So we meet the crew of the. Why do I not have the name of this boat? Oh, the Arctic Warrior. This salvage boat, and they are. It's like balls to the wall already. Like we're not just subtly meeting these people. It's like they're towing in this massive boat, and I guess it's got a huge hole. It's sinking. They got to go in there quick and jump in. You got the captain like, get back over here. It's we're cutting it loose, and they're like, no, we got to save it. And they jump into the water, and they do like the quickest weld job I've ever seen in my life. They're just like, you're like, they're done. I'm like, I don't. Okay, underwater.
They're NASCAR pit crew. That's what they are. Like, I've seen Deus the Thunder once or twice.
F1 racing.
F1.
They're fast.
That snail is fast. I'm sorry.
Turbo.
So we then get the next shot where that boat that they salvaged is just sitting in the dock. And they're like, yay, we did it, guys. High fives all around. We're making money. We're doing great things. And then a dude walks over. His name is Jack Ferryman. His name is Jack Ferryman. That might come back later, guys. But he tells him about a boat that is just floating there. He's a pilot. He's been flying back and forth. He's seen this boat kind of just floating in the Bering Strait. I'm like, why the fuck is it in the Bering Strait? And then you find out this ship was sailing in the Bering Sea. And I'm like, why is a cruise liner sailing in the Bering Sea? That's where the crab fishermen are. And that sea is dangerous.
Yeah.
Cruise liner shouldn't be there. What are we doing?
Yeah, exactly.
And so he's like, hey,
We
could
watched
you...
enough Deadliest Catch. We know
Yeah,
where they're
I watch
going.
Deadliest Catch all the time. That show rocks, okay?
Yes, it does.
Heck yeah.
So he's like, hey, I need you guys to help me get this ship, and I want like a 20%, take on whatever you get. And they're like, nah, we're good. But then they talk it over, and then you got to hear about Greer. He's getting married in a month. I'm like, no one fucking cares.
Shut up, Greer.
And then everybody agrees to say, go ahead, Angela. Why are you pointing at Angela?
No. I just had a connection. The original Gone in 60 Seconds.
I was confused. I'm like, why are you pointing at me?
It's like, we got 48 cars to steal. You need to put your honeymoon on hold. This is Greer. This is fucking Greer, dude. This son of a bitch. Same fucking dude from Gone in 60 Seconds. I remember his damn name.
Who cares?
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
Main Drain.
Main Drain, baby. Main Drain.
It's not Main Drain, but it's the other one. I'm going to fucking look him up because I can't remember his name.
So they're like, okay, we'll do it, but you get 10%. And he's like, oh, okay, but I'm going. And they're like, no. And he's like, well, so I'm just going to let you guys go out there and do this and kind of just screw me over? No, I'm going to go out there for insurance purposes. And they're like, whatever. So they're on their way to the ship. And Carlos is kind of the captain. He's not the captain, but he drives the boat. Hooper drives the boat, Chief.
Yeah.
I had to make that quote. And he's blasting Mudvayne over the speakers.
Yes, he fucking
is. He's got that thing on 11. Just,
so good.
And the fact they can't hear it down below is just wild. I'm like, what?
Dude, I was telling my wife, like, I didn't watch this movie, but like right at 2000, like 2001, that's when I really got into metal, and like this was like the shit I was listening to all the fucking time.
Both songs that are in this movie were songs I listened to all the time growing up.
Oh yeah.
But the weird thing is while he's driving, he's getting blips on the radar that there's something there, but then it keeps disappearing. To the point that the captain comes up, he's like, I don't see anything. And he's like, oh, okay, now I see something. And then by the time they notice it, they literally hit the ship. Because it
almost killed Dodge.
Yeah, he's like hanging on the front of the ship, and then he just flies over it. I'm like, damn.
Oh, he's gonna pop like a pimple.
So when they discover the ship, Murphy knows exactly what it is, and he's like in awe. It's the Antonia Graza. It was a ship that disappeared in 1962, and no one has heard from it since. There was no distress call. There was no nothing. It just disappeared. So he is like infatuated with this ship. So they're like, okay, well, we got to go on the ship and see what the heck's going on here. They go up there. They're like, all the life jackets are gone. The lifeboats are gone. It's like really eerie. Like, where did everybody go? We see the blocks again, but the ghosts manipulate him. It's like, welcome aboard. Like, thanks, ghosts.
Thank you for being ironic.
They're kind of wandering through the ship, and Munder, played by Carl Urban, he falls through the floor. Epps goes to grab him, and she's holding him there, and she looks over, and there's little dead ghost girl. And she's like,
living dead girl.
I really thought she was going to drop him. I thought she was going to be like in shock, and she just drops him.
I kind of like, when I looked, I thought that at first, and I was like, wait a minute. Like, Epps seems like she's strong. She's a strong person. Like, she can do this. And she has like a hell of a hold on Carl Urban. So it's like, I don't think it's not like one of those like, oh, fingertips.
Like, it's like
I got you.
by the pinky. It's like, I got you, I swear.
Take my strong hand.
It's not strong hand.
No, it's small hand.
Take my small hand. Oh,
but if dude would have not wriggled around like he would have, they would have been able to get him up faster.
Yeah. It's probably just panic.
Yeah,
I could die.
I would have like just stopped moving. Like,
I'm in danger.
Yeah.
I'm in danger. So they make it to the bridge, and Murphy, who's the captain, he goes off and he's going into trying to find like log books and all the stuff from the ship. And he calls Epps in. Epps is all like out of whack because she saw a dead ghost girl. But then they find a digital watch and they're like, well, that's weird. There wasn't digital watches back in the 60s. And that's when Murphy's like, well, do you think we're the only like people that have been on this boat since it disappeared? And it's like, well, that kind of it's kind of suspicious then.
Yeah, just a
Right?
little.
Yeah. All right. So we then get back onto the salvage boat. So yeah, Murphy tells a story of a Civil War boat that it like sailed like 4,500 miles, but then when they discovered it, there was like no crew aboard. It was just empty, just floating there. And that's when the who was it? I can't remember these fucking characters' names. Dodge. He's like, I smell bullshit. And Murphy's like, been on this fucking sea a lot longer than you piece of shit. Shut your mouth. He's like, oh, my bad. So they then find out that it's going to take about 2 weeks to tow this in. I was like, how the fuck is this tugboat going to haul that thing anywhere?
Juice up the diesel, pop her into 4 low. We'll get her home eventually.
Be very slow
man.
travel.
Well, actually, I looked. I did. Okay, this is from IMDb, so take it with a grain of salt. The story that Murphy tells is inaccurate. Shocker.
Wow.
So the boat wasn't transporting cotton; it was transporting alcohol of some kind to the UK from Charleston. But it ended up not in the Strait of Gibraltar or the Mediterranean Sea. It ended up by Portugal, still under full sail, with nobody aboard and no log entry for 9 days.
Huh.
So they juiced it up for the movie to make it sound better, but still a really weird event.
So we then see Ferryman talk to Epps about what she saw, and he's just like, oh, ghosts? Huh? Weird. Okay. I don't think you're that crazy. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Like, all right, dude, don't make yourself a little bit too suspicious here with whatever you're going. Everybody, I mean, no one picks this up anyways of what this dude's been putting down, so. They find out that the ship has a massive hole and it is currently sinking. And they talk about how it is current, like the hole is current. Like it's not like it's been there for a long time. And so they really need to patch it up or it's just going to sink. Then they're out of all that money. So they have 3 days to repair it. And I guess there's also, because of the fact that the tugboat crashed into the ship,
It probably didn't help.
No, well, it screwed up the tugboat too. Like, so
Yeah.
Carlos has been working on that, and Murphy's just. This is when you see that Murphy is kind of the downfall of this entire thing, even though they were set up. So he literally tells Carlos that he's got to fix the boat up like faster than he's ever fixed it up before. Greer wants to call in the ship. Murphy tells him no. So it's just starting to get weird with Murphy. He's just not making the brightest decisions. But because, and he also brings up the maritime law a lot, the fact that because it's in international waters, if you discover something, it's yours.
Yep.
So their plane goes into action. Santos is fixing up the engine. He's talking to a picture, and I thought it was going to be a woman, but it was actually a car.
Yes, 59 Impala.
And then the ship splooges in his face, and he's like, "Oh, it's dirty to me, baby." And I was like, "All right,
A little bit of a squirter we got here.
Epps, she goes to the pool, which is possibly the tiniest pool ever. And
It was on a ship.
for a cruise ship, I feel like, I mean, there's a lot of people there.
Well, you know what it reminds me of? You know what the boat, not the boat, the pool in that boat reminds me of? Because it's a ship that disappeared in 62.
Yeah, so it was
or
probably
61,
built
whatever.
in the 50s.
Yeah. So it makes me think of the pool in the basement of the Biltmore.
our brains are on the same wavelength tonight.
You think the same thing?
Yes.
It's because like it wasn't like we would think of pools nowadays. They would have probably been smaller, just because of how things were at the time. But I don't know.
Well,
the bullet holes don't line up for me, by the way, for how that all goes. But anyway,
oh yeah, for what we see later. But yeah, she finds bullet holes and she's like, She goes into the pool and she finds the bullet casings, and then she's like, she climbs up the ladder and gets jump scared by the little girl.
Hey.
We also get this.
You're going to die down here, like Red Queen. Oh shit! Oh my god! What's that fucking boat from Resident Evil Revelations? Son of a bitch! I could have made that joke. Go ahead. It's done. It's dead.
We also see that the captain is looking for the captain's quarters, and he does not allow Greer to go with him because he's the captain. He's the only one who's allowed there. And I was like, okay.
Do you know how difficult this movie has been for me to just listen to you talk about it? Not that you're doing anything wrong. It's just how my mind works.
Oh, okay.
Because you're mentioning, the captain's quarters, and I just think of opposite day for SpongeBob. We can wear socks on our hands and hats on our captain's quarters too. And then you keep calling this girl Epstein every fucking time. I was like, where's the rest of it? Like, I'm not saying that's how she is as a character. That's just the name that comes to mind.
You called her Epsy, and I was like, damn it.
Yeah.
All I could think of was epilepsy, and I was like, no. I can't.
It's called being photosensitive, all right?
I can't.
Carry on.
So the captain finds the captain's quarters. He goes in there. He sees like there's still a glass with some booze in it that's like still got like a clean glass. There's still a bottle with booze in it. He wanders into he was going to take a sip, but when he takes a sip, he sees the actual captain in the reflection, and it kind of is like, okay. Well, you find out, I guess, that he was once an alcoholic, and he's been sober for a while.
Oh, that's yeah.
Because earlier when they're at the bar,
I missed that part.
Ferryman offers him a drink, and Epps goes, "Oh, he doesn't drink." So it's kind of like that, that whole whatever. So he wanders though into the bathroom, and he sees a bloody razor in the sink, and I'm like, why? We saw how the captain died in the beginning of the movie. What is this?
Let me explain it. I think it's a bit about what happens later.
Yeah.
And that blood would not be red.
No, it would definitely not be red.
All right. They discover the empty elevator shaft. I think it's Greer who discovers it because it's like foreshadowing.
I know, right?
They also discovered that the engine room is flooding. I'm like, no shit. There's a giant hole in the ship and it is sinking. What the fuck are we? Oh no, guys, the engine room is flooding. Huh.
Might want to go check on that. Check the engine room.
Yep.
So I don't understand this. I don't know if this is like how it like triggers the ghosts, but when Epps gets up, she must be bleeding from the back of the head, but the blood gets soaked into the ship. And all I can imagine is it just like activates everything.
Yep.
Got that taste of blood.
Ghosts activated.
yeah, it just, but like for how the film pans out, that just doesn't really make a lot of sense.
All the other blood dried up. It needed replenishment. It was thirsty.
I guess so. I fucking guess so.
And then Ferryman shows up. He's just like, "You okay?" And she's just like, "Yeah, I think I'm good." But in my head, I'm like, "What the fuck is he doing there? He's not supposed to be part of this." And again, she like, this is a scene where I'm like, I don't understand this. Like, they don't see what's happening in the pool. Like, so the bullet holes start seeping blood out of them, and it starts filling the pool up where they're still in the pool because you literally see them talking to each other, and then it shows the pool being filled up with blood. I'm like, are they out of the pool? Do they not see the blood? I'm confused. Whatever.
Wouldn't it make noise?
Yeah. What's
happening? Spectral blood?
But again, she keeps telling Ferryman, this dude she's known for 30 days, or not even 30 days, 30 minutes that I keep seeing a ghost. Like I keep seeing this little girl. Like, why are you telling him that? Of all people.
This creepy fucker, dude. He's like the person you decide to confide in, not the captain.
Really?
Want to be my best friend?
Yeah.
I'm just glad they don't sleep together in this movie because that's something that
I'm fucking shocked.
happens sometimes.
Yeah.
So the is this when Murphy sees the captain? Like he sees him at the desk and they start having their conversation?
No, that's
Like
later.
That's later.
That's
Okay.
later. That's
I
after
think
the incident.
that might be where you actually see him in the mirror.
Yeah, probably.
But then you get the pool of blood. You see the bodies like floating around in the pool of blood, and then
let the bodies at the pool.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, really.
Let the bodies at the pool. Let the bodies at the.
We can make all these like good lord, lifeguard jokes. If I knew being a lifeguard meant guarding people's lives, I never would have taken this job. Stupid.
They told me there was going to be lifesavers. I didn't get any lifesavers. I just had to hold this giant white ring.
Bullshit.
Oh man! So they start hearing singing coming over the radio, and
it's not drowning pool.
No, I wish.
So sad.
And they're all a little bit confused, but Greer kind of hears it the most, and he's kind of just like, because then we go back to Ferriman and Epps as they go into like a room, and they're like, "Oh, it's just a sealed door. There might be a little bit of water in there." And then they open it up, and it's just a flood of water just rushes into this room, and also bodies come out of it too. And you're like, "All right." I would have had the same reaction as her. She's like, "I want to get off this fucking boat. Get me
How long
out
do
of
you think
here."
they've been here? Not very long.
Yeah. So these must have been the bodies of like people who had been trying to get this ship before.
Yeah, like probably fairly recently.
Yeah. So she's just done with it. We go back to Greer. He's in the dance hall. He's playing the piano. He sees that there's like a lit cigarette. He's like, "That's weird," because it has lipstick on it, and he's like, "Epps, you don't wear lipstick. What's going on here?" And then he sees the picture of Francesca, and he's like, and the first thing on his mind is like, "Nice titties," and I was like, "Really? Like from that picture? Like that's your first thought?"
You know what I thought of after
right there.
You know what I thought of after you said it?
What?
But it's the wrong time of year for it. Nice tits, bitch.
Oh god.
Turkeys to see. And then there's the fourth. Thanks killing. Thanks cruising. I don't know. Like, what do you want from me?
If it's dark, twisted, and mysterious, then I want to dissect every possible explanation as to why it is. I want to understand the dark psychology of the most dangerous serial killers, from the day they were born to the moment they snapped. I want to examine every cryptic conspiracy, and even delve into the haunted paranormal. Join me, Ashley Lana, as I explore the obscure. This is Lullaby the Fear podcast. Sweet dreams are made of these.
Oh man! So while Epps is going through a lot because she just found dead bodies, they wander into another part of the ship, and they go into this one room, and there is just crates full of gold bars. And Ferriman is beyond happy with this, more happy than he probably should be. But Epps also hears her actual name, her first name, over the radio, because they're like, Maureen. And they're like, "Who's Maureen?" And she's like, "That's my first name." You're like, "Ooh, scary."
I haven't heard that name in a long time.
But it wasn't just saying her name. It was like, "I'm cold, Maureen. I'm cold." All right, I'll get you a blanket. Just tell me where you are.
then the soundtrack's in cold as ice. Dun, 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 dun.
willing to sacrifice my love.
Yes.
So she goes into the cold storage because she hears something going on in there, and I'm like, why are we going in there? Why?
Velociraptors.
It's that one Velociraptor's been there since '93. Like, oh, finally somebody came.
That ran out of ice cream. It just got cold.
It just like slides out of there.
Yes.
The Jurassic,
And all
the
the
Lego,
Hot Pockets are missing.
the Lego Jurassic World game plays so well with that because I think it was in like because you play through all of the movies. Or at least I think it was up to like Jurassic World.
Yeah.
I think in Jurassic World when you go back to Jurassic Park, you find the freezer and you open it up and the raptor is just like frozen in there still.
Okay, 2 things I need to say about that. There's first off, I want another like they did with the Star Wars shit. I want another Lego Jurassic World game. That's just all of them.
Yeah.
Like all of the old ones, all of them.
Yeah,
Do
they
it for
need to
4.
update.
Do it for part 4, so you just have 7 of them in one game. Just
Mhm.
please. Secondly, the new Jurassic Park game is going to allegedly fix that and figure out what happened to that Velociraptor in the freezer. So
There we go. Little
Take
Jurassic
him
Park
out, he's gonna
news
beef
dump for you.
us and, like, kill everybody.
yeah, put
So
them in the microwave for 30 minutes on one side, and they'll flip them over, and the other one.
yeah.
Because they got those big, they had that big microwaves. You know, it's the
Yeah.
no expense, no, you know.
Spared no expense.
Sorry, no, that's the thing. There you go.
So yeah, she gets jump scared by Munder and Dodge because they like hide in the meat locker. I'm like, this is the worst prank. Like, where I'm just, hey, let's go hide in the meat locker and just we'll scare her.
Because they thought she was
She was
fucking
fucking
with
with
them.
them. Yeah.
What if the door shut and
They couldn't
nobody
get out.
could get out?
This was the 60s. Nobody cared back then. Like, there was no like safety release.
No, there wasn't.
Listen, as many times as I went into the cooler and freezer when I worked at Walgreens, I kicked the door every time just to make sure I could get out. Every time.
It's terrifying.
Because I've seen way too many movies.
That happened to me when I
where
was a
people get
kid.
locked in. Yeah.
We had a gas station, had the whole, and like
Yeah.
you get your bags of ice.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, I'm going to climb in that. Shut.
Can't open it.
Started like wailing on the door. Somebody let me out. My dad used to work at a gas station. So fun times. Do you remember the big sweet tarts? The
Yes.
big fuckers, the big sweet tart shoes. You got them in the little
Yeah.
tray, and there's that stun motherfucker.
Heck
He's like,
yeah.
I'm gonna give you cancer, but here's some candy.
Yep.
And like, yeah, those were good. This would make me think of. And then fuck Laffy Taffy. Sorry, I just don't like it.
Unless it's the cherry.
Huh?
Cherry and grape.
Unless it's the cherry.
Yeah, the bananas are the worst.
Banana
dude.
was nasty. It
Remember
was
we used to have
always
the-
the one left behind.
Yeah, they used to have the jugs, the big jugs in the gas stations. You just reach in and grab your flavors. You get them individually.
Good times.
There you go. Yep. Great oldie school. 4.1.
So they all go back to the room with all the gold bars, and they find out there's like $200 to $300 million worth of gold bars here, and they're untraceable because all the markings were scraped off. So it was kind of because they're all like, oh, these could be stolen gold bars. You know, they could be breaking the law. You know, they could take them from us, and we're kind of screwed over everything. So they're going to load up the gold bars onto the tugboat and kind of get the hell out of there. So they're kind of going to ignore that. They're just going to get rid of the ship. They're just going to leave it. But somebody else has other plans. So they're like ready to go. Carlos is like, the engine room's ready. We're getting it. We're all ready to go. But then some unnatural force turns on the propane. I'm like,
Not the propane.
not the propane. And of course,
Propane accessories.
it's too late because as soon as Carlos smells it, he tries to signal Greer to not start the boat, but it's too late and it goes boom.
Mother of God.
And Carlos is just up in flames. He's just
Yes.
doing like great fire stunt, by the way, just because this is definitely a dude on fire. Literally just walks and just falls into the water.
I seriously thought that like Carlos, like I didn't realize that was Carlos that was on fire on the deck. I thought he just blew the fuck up under the boat. Not that he blew up, like was expelled onto the dock.
I told, because you said, who was it? And I said it was Santos. That's Santos.
That's fair.
His name's Carlos.
I
right?
missed
Yeah, it's
Santos, like
Santos.
his last name.
Is his last name.
I have Santos in my notes. I don't know why I was calling him Carlos.
Santos.
Santos. Yeah, Santos. Yeah, he's dead.
Just a little bit.
So
that boat goes the fuck up, dude.
Oh yeah, and it sinks in a matter of seconds. Like it's just
it blows that bitch to pieces.
So now their new plan is they're going to fix up the ship so that they can kind of steer it away from these rocks that are just randomly here. Like they're like straight ahead of them. Yeah, they're just, hey, there's rocks up ahead. You know, let's not go towards them. So we're going to make sure to move the ship over a little bit. Right before the boat exploded, Ghost Girl runs up. She's like, don't go on the boat. Something's about to happen. And then someone tackles her.
Yes.
Which then signals Epps to check what's going on. And Epps jumps into the water. I was like, all right.
Is she?
That's a hell of a jump, man.
Yeah, that's a fall.
But she saves Greer because Greer gets fucked up. But he seems fine about 5 minutes later.
Yeah,
he's good. They just, dab his wound a little bit, put a Band-Aid on there.
Yeah.
Need some Neosporin.
So then we get this whole situation where everybody's recovering, and Dodge is pissy because he blames Ferryman for everything that's happened. He gets into a tussle with him, and Greer comes in and kind of separates that. To then Greer goes after freaking Munder. Like they start going at it, and then he punches Munder in the face. He gets him good too. Like to be honest, it kind of looks like he actually clocked him because like Munder's reaction is just like, "Holy shit! I was not expecting that."
Yeah, I was expecting one of those typical movie brawls. One person punches and they just go at it. No, he just fucking hit him, and it was it. Like that was it.
He's like, "Yo, bitch, come at me!" And I was like, "Whoa, what the fuck?"
They counted 3, 2, 1, and he hit him on 3.
Yeah. So everybody's kind of in their own part of the ship, kind of being sad. You have Greer's in the dance hall. You have the captain. He's in the captain's quarters still. And you have Dodge and Munder in the kitchen.
Yep.
And they find some 40-year-old food. And they're like, do you think it's still good? It's still sealed up. And I was like, I still wouldn't be touching that shit. No,
it's called botulism.
It's a can.
Doesn't stay good forever.
40 years is definitely
unless
not.
it's Twinkies.
Yeah, but it was
or Milk Duds. Milk Duds never go bad.
I hate Milk Duds, to be honest. I don't like Milk Duds.
Every time I love them, I can't really eat them anymore, which pisses me off. But every time I with my kids, because it drives them nuts, I'm like, "Oh, Milk Duds, these never go bad." Like every time, every fucking time. Shout out to anybody who gets that reference because it's obscure as shit.
So Greer is in the dance hall and he's playing his piano all sad. He's got a bottle of booze with him. He looks over at the picture of Francesca again. He's like, "I can never cheat on you, baby." And he whips out the picture of his girl. I was like, it's the most unflattering picture of whoever this woman is. It's like,
my name's Denise.
It's like this is the worst picture they possibly could have taken of this woman. It's like, oh no, what happened? Like, she's probably a pretty lady, but like, that's a horrible picture. Then Epps is wandering through. She gets to see the all the slamming doors happening, and she's just like, "Oh my god, what's happening? Ghost doors." The guys are having a great time eating the food because they think it's actually good. But then it was all a trick. The ghosts were playing games because they're just maggots. So many maggots
that's got me
coming out of their mouth. Oh, when he's sticks his tongue out, just loaded with them. You're like, oh no!
Carl Urban starts screaming like, "I'm allergic to hamburger helper cheesy enchilada!" Like, ah.
Oh no!
Oh, don't say that because that's my favorite one.
No, it's just a joke. Just compartmentalize. Just don't think of Keith Urban with maggots when you eat. That tweet, Keith Urban, you motherfucker, you ruined.
You mean Carl Urban?
Sorry, Keith Urban, different person. Carl Urban, you motherfucker.
Country singer.
Yes, he is. You ruined cheesy enchilada for me.
You should really
please be Judge Dredd again.
I need you to send that tweet.
And
then put a picture of, or just do it on Instagram. Find a picture of him eating the maggots on Instagram, and then just do that post.
I will find. Okay, listen. I will find Keith Urban.
I think it's Carl.
Carl Urban. Listen, I grew up. with country singers, so that's where my mind goes. Sorry.
Oh,
Well,
he's on Instagram.
the funny thing is that they're both from Australia.
Really?
I think maybe Carl Urban is from New Zealand.
Yeah, it don't matter.
Well,
I mean, it does matter, but right now it doesn't matter. But yeah, I will find that picture and I will tag him. Like, thank you for ruining Hamburger Helper cheesy enchilada for me. Tag.
Yeah.
Kara, dissect that film.
Yes, and he'd be like,
be Judge Dredd again.
Who the fuck is it?
I don't remember which character he is from Lord of the Rings, but I'll throw that out. He's like Rohan. He's from Rohan, right? He's one of the writers. He's
you
one
are
of the
talking to somebody who has literally watched Fellowship of the Ring 20 years ago and has not watched any of them.
He's on one of my magic cards, damn it. No, just kidding. I don't know. I'm going to find out. Carry on.
Oh, there it is.
Yes, that's the fucking picture. Yes, thank you. Carl Urban. Come on our show.
Epps finds.
Here we go. There's our new tier, the Carl Urban Cooking Club.
What tier is that?
Fuck, I don't know. I just wanted to do another one.
Okay.
And Dan's in charge of that one.
No. I'll stop now.
So Epps finds the little girl's room and finds the dead little girl. She's hanging there. And my wife goes, "Why does she have hair on her skull? That's not how hair works." Because I was watching Fallout, and there's a scene where the main character finds a room full of like a family that just didn't go anywhere. They like took the blast of whatever of the nukes, and the girl, like there was like you could clearly see it was a little girl, but she had a full head of hair, but she was just a skeleton. And my wife's like, that's not how hair works. It's not in your skull. So she had to make that note. That was her comment.
But also the skeletons would also fall apart because the connection.
Yeah, she wouldn't. I don't think she still would have been hanging there.
No.
So we're back with Greer. This is when he thinks he's like tripping out because the dance hall starts to transform back to what it looked like back in the day. Everybody's clapping for him. It is really, really weird blue screen. You could literally look at his feet and it looks like he's floating on top of the floor as he's like spinning around like, why is everybody clapping for me?
You did it, Shinji. Yay. Somebody's gonna get that reference too.
So yeah, there's just ghosts popping up all over the boat. You have the ghost of the captain talking with Murphy. You have Francesca and everybody in this room pop up. Then Ghost Girl shows up, Katie, and she finds Epps finds like a locket on her neck, and inside is a picture of her parents, and her mom looks exactly like her. And even Katie's like, "Oh, you look very similar to my mother." It's like, why? Why does she look similar to me? What doesn't make any sense? Is this supposed to be some sort of like you're related? Like, I don't know why that had to be a thing.
There's no plot relevance.
No,
to
not
this,
at all.
Mind you.
So, with them back with Greer, and Francesca is making her moves on him, and he's like, "Well, you're a dead lady, and so that's not technically cheating. So I will happily make out with you and potentially have sex with you." This is when you get the dress. That's just really weird. I've never seen a dress like this. Why is it like she like takes off her top, but like the bottoms is still good? Like she's like it's a 2-piece dress.
I think it just goes all at one thing, right? With
It's not though.
But like that's how it normally works.
It's
right?
what it should be, right? Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Here I am waiting for Admiral Akbar to show up. Don't do it. It's a
trap.
trap.
And then the ghost captain tells Murphy about where the gold came from. And he's like, "Well, we got it from another ship called the Lorelei, and we took the bars and we brought it over." And then he gets shown a picture of like who's the person responsible, but you don't see who's in the picture yet. So you're like, "Ooh, who could it be?" Because there was only one survivor.
Yep.
So Katie tells, huh?
Did we talk about the other boat? I'm sorry.
About the Lorelei?
Yeah.
What about
I
it?
was distracted. I apologize. Carry on.
Oh no, it was just the fact that the Lorelei was the ship that they got the gold from.
Yeah, that's right. Carry on. Sorry, my apologies. My fault.
So Katie tells Epps about how there's a ferryman with a Y, and he is collecting souls, and he's not happy that she's talking about him. All right. And so things start getting crazy. The ceilings and the walls start to bleed, and you're like, whoa, what is happening? And this is when Murphy, because Murphy has seen the picture, he knows who it is, so he's trying to find him. And he runs into Ghost Carlos, who's not looking so good. And he's like, oh, you suck. You made me do things I didn't want to do. You just all about you, huh? I'm going to fucking slap you around. And so, yeah, he kind of gets mind fucked by Carlos. Greer gets seduced into the elevator shaft. I mean, she did. I mean, listen. She had the titties out. She was walking around, getting him to follow her. But then she dropped the bottoms right before, so she knew exactly what was going to get him to go full, right through her. And I was
in his Everlast shirt.
Yeah, showing those booty cheeks as he just falls right through her. And yep, see you later. But then Murphy is like, Carlos's ghost is like fucking with Murphy, so he is like, Murphy thinks he sees Carlos, but it's actually Epps, so he's trying to kill Epps, thinking it's Carlos. It's a whole thing, to the point that when they actually like get him to stop, they throw him in an aquarium where the only way to get him out is from a top hatch. There's no way of getting him out any other way but the top hatch. They're like, we're gonna put him in this aquarium. I was like, what? Why?
Was it like 9 feet deep?
Yeah,
10 feet deep.
Oh my god!
Fuck that.
Well, for one, it was also, I think, Fairman's idea to do it. It's like, oh, okay, you ain't sketchy. So they come up with the plan. They gotta fix up the boat. So we get a whole montage of them going through, patching up all the holes, and then they got to start pumping out the water. And they also fix the rudder. I'm like, how? How did they do that? Did they scuba dive down to the rudder and fix it that way? We didn't see that, but that was like, they fixed the rudder. It just looked like it just was like crustiness, vanish.
Yep.
Yeah. They just pressure washed it.
Okay, sure. So Epps finds Greer impaled in the elevator. The hose gets plugged up that's pumping out the water. And Munder keeps forgetting that Rock always loses to paper, and yet he still uses Rock every time they do rock, paper, scissors.
It's like Simpsons. Poor predictable Bart always uses Rock. Good old Rock. Nothing beats Rock. And like, that's the whole exchange right there.
Katie then takes Epps back in time and shows her everything that happened on the ship that day. So we get to see what happened inside, which was that the kitchen crew put rat poison, and lots of it, in the soup, which killed everybody inside the ship.
Most everybody.
Not good soup.
Well, it's pretty much everybody, except for the people that were part of the plan.
Yeah, it was most of the guests eating, but it was not all the staff, because not all the staff.
Yeah, well, because I think most of the staff was part of the whole coup.
I thought the rest of them were finished off in the pool incident.
Could be right there. Yeah.
I think it was just the people cooking and serving.
I just thought that was.
There was like two
Italian
dudes that you always saw. Right. They were like, that guy's evil.
Well, earlier you see Carl Urban and the other guy Dodge in there. You see a can of rat poison, like on the counter.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, it's just like sitting there. I was like, why the fuck is that there? And I was like, I don't know.
Irony,
then you get the explanation.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah,
absolutely. They need to have that alarm, because sometimes I don't catch those. Or just have a small little light. It's like, see this? Foreshadowing.
Right in the corner. Like,
bing.
So yeah, we then see again the whole wire slice kill on the outside of the ship. We see people getting killed. The whole thing with people getting shot into the pool. Dan, would you like to explain what your problem was with?
Well, my problem is most of the shooting is they're standing. So pool's rectangular shaped.
Yeah.
So like a lot of the people are on one of the short ends and they're just getting mowed into. Like looks like a bunch of old like German weapons. And there's some Soviet stuff if you like Russian made or comm block stuff. Anyway, they're just like fanning into them and then they die. But the problem is a lot of the bullet holes in the shot were actually on the wall on the long side, like directly into it.
Yeah.
And
they
a
were
lot of the
straight.
cartridges,
They
admittedly,
weren't-
could have hit the water and like moved, but like a lot of the cartridges, in theory, wouldn't have fallen into the pool. And there was a shit ton of them. It would have been just on the ground where these guys were shooting because it was like people right on the pool. They were back like 5 to 10 feet and then unloading into them. Like, why would all the shells just suddenly go in the pool? And like the shots don't line up.
Yeah,
The
they would've
caliber
been
looks
straight.
about right, but you can't tell. It's just a shell. So some 9mm based round or mark. Yeah.
So yeah, we see that. We see then the crew go into the room where the gold is, and they're all happy. But then Francesca shows up and seduces pretty much one of the guys to turn around and betray everybody. Shoots all of them, but then he gets shot by Francesca. And then Francesca sees a guy in the shadows. He comes out of the shadows, and this probably one of my favorite kills of this movie is this one, and that is
Yes, it's good.
You see this mysterious man with Francesca, but then he kind of puts her into a spot where a hook comes down and hooks her in the side of
so
the face.
good.
This was actually an homage to a kill from the original Black Christmas.
Oh yes, the lady that supervises the girl's house up in the attic,
where Billy throws the hook at her. Yeah.
Yeah, because it gets her like right.
Oh
right
yeah, and you get to
here.
see it.
Just
That's what was great.
It's
I
fucking
love that.
nice.
Like initially, you just kind of she just gets smoked and like goes out of frame, and then you just kind of see her legs. But then it does show like the hook through her face. I was like, that's a good effect right there. That's good.
Well, don't forget, we also get to see how the little girl actually was killed.
Yeah, she was taken back to her room and forced to. I mean, they like forced her to be hanged.
Yeah, so and then because she kills the one dude that gave her the blocks about boredom, you get to see him get killed with them.
Yep.
Which I believe was done in the cat, which probably happened to a lot of people. You've seen them running around stabbing.
Okay, so that's where that razor came from. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was
they were just
confused.
ending people.
Like I said, I've seen this movie many times, but I was very confused. I was like, but the captain gets his face sliced off. Like, why was that?
I think it was just coincidentally. So it was either that was done in the captain's quarters, and I just wasn't paying attention to that, or somebody was offed with it in the captain's quarters. They just fucking tossed it in the sink when they got done. Like, screw it.
That makes a lot of sense.
I just assumed they were right there and did it there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So the girl wasn't like super depresso and like offed herself. She was forced to end herself.
Yeah. So. And then, of course, our final part of this whole flashback thing is the reveal that it's Ferryman. Oh, what?
His name is Ferryman? What?
I do. I mean, his name is like, the biggest red light ever, but like red flag ever.
Red flag.
But at least they don't just blatantly tell you. He's like, yeah, dude, I'm a ferryman. Like they do, but they don't. Like,
well, that's the
you
thing
get
is
it.
he's not called Ferryman. He's only called Ferryman once, and when he introduces himself, he says, "I'm Jack Ferryman." The rest of the movie, he's just called Jack, and then you find out, at the end of the movie that he is a ferryman. That's why his name is what it is. It's like, but it's still on the nose.
He's like the only one called by his first name.
That's weird. I don't know.
That's how it works.
So of course she gets
That's how you
out
know
of
he's
this
evil.
dream because she finds out that because Ferryman's behind it, he's probably going to kill Murphy, and he does. He fills up the tank with water, and of course the only way to get him out is by the top, and
Which you couldn't open from the inside.
Right.
Yeah, and you can see he's got the picture of Ferryman in his hand that he got from the ghost.
Yep.
He was going to tell him, but he just didn't have time.
Munder, he gets killed so fast. He literally goes into the water and then just gets sucked into this freaking gear, just crushes him. And then you see like his hand float away, and then you get to see like remnants of his body, like his face and shit when Ep shows up to the scene. I was like, golly, that's quick, man. It was like literally like he goes in water, he dead.
He had to get back to filming, dude. It's
Eomer.
Yeah, that's who he was. Eomer.
Yeah, he had to go back and he's like, I gotta go
kill.
back and do Lord of the Rings. Sorry.
Yeah, I gotta
we
go
hurry this
busy
up?
being an heir of the Theoden. I'm like, sorry guys,
Yeah.
I ride for Rohan.
So Epps finds Dodge in the on the bridge, and Ferriman shows up, but she kind of plays it cool, like she doesn't know about him. So she's like, "I need you two to stay here and don't leave." And then she goes because she's like, "I gotta go find Munder." So she goes off, and then that's when Ferriman kind of shows his true colors. He, because he wants to leave, and Dodge is like, "No, you're not leaving." And then Ferriman's like, "You're a disgrace for a human. You call yourself a man." I was like,
What is a man?
But
A
Yeah.
miserable
I
little
was-
pile of secrets. But enough talk. Have at you.
Yeah, pretty much that's how it went. Because
They've been
Dodge
married way too long.
Way too fucking long.
Dodge blows him away, like just shotgun blast right to the chest. But of course, then you see like it zooms into his face, and you see his eye move, and you're like, "Oh, he ain't dead." So Dodge shows up to talk to Epps, and he's all being all weird, and he's like, "It could just be us. It'll be our ship. It'll be our money. We could be together." Blah, blah, blah. She's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" To the point where she's like, "You're definitely not Dodge." And then he like transforms into Ferriman, and he's like, "Oh yeah, well, can't trust me being dead when I'm literally like a god. Like I'm literally Charon. Like I'm the ferryman. I ferry souls to the afterlife, and my boss,
Management's gonna be upset.
yeah." I actually read a whole thing about like what his deal probably was, where it was like he was a pretty bad guy in life, and then when he died, he was sent to hell, and he made a deal with the devil. It's like, "Oh, I'll erase all of your sins if you ferry, a number of souls to me within a certain time." And so that's kind of what he's talking about. Like he's not somebody who's been alive for thousands of years. He's relatively new to this, within maybe 100 years or so. But yeah, he's like this has all been one job that's lasted like 45 years.
I think it's just an eternity, dude. It's just he obviously the the proverbial deal with the devil. Like there's you don't ever.
Yeah, the
win
deal
out.
never. The devil's just like, "Well, your deal is clear. You're good to go." Like, no, that's not usually how he
Nope.
works.
Okay, you did this. Now you have to do this.
Yeah. So, of course, Epps is like, "I'm gonna blow the ship up. Like if you can't do this, I'm gonna end this." And of course, he like freaking blasts her off of the catwalk into the water.
Yeah, that he makes the pipe swing around. and hit
Oh,
her in
that's
the
right.
face.
Yeah, and she like falls in, and then he does like this crazy like toad like jump onto her to like to strangle her, and she's able to get him off her, and then she gets a harpoon gun and she aims it at him,
Yeah,
and
because
he's
she
just,
stabs him in the leg with the harpoon gun.
Yep.
First.
Yeah, and then she gets up and she aims it at him, and he's like, "It's not gonna do anything to me. Like this is pointless." And she's like,
Shoot.
"What about the trigger of that?" And then it blows the ship up. How she doesn't die, I don't know. But I love the fact that it shows him explode. Like it's just like,
Yep.
Listen, you can say what you want. You can say that's cheesy, whatever. I actually like the sinking of the ship and the fact of the souls escaping. Like it shows her swimming out, and it shows all of the people from the boat swimming out, but then it also shows like the ship starting to sink, and then the souls are like,
"Oh, they do the whole Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good."
Yes, but I was telling her instead of ash, it just turned to plankton.
You just see whales come by, just
Yeah. Krill.
Oh man. So yep, the ship sinks. The ship sinks, and my wife goes, "It would sink like that?" I'm like, "What did you think? Just the Titanic sunk like that?" Like, no, it's a ship. Like a ship. That's how ships sink. Like it's okay. Was it just
It's gonna
reserved
get
for
so
the
far
Titanic?
and break in half.
Right. Yeah. No, it was really cool though. I actually liked. I like the fact that
Yeah.
the souls are like rotating around it.
Yep.
It was pretty cool. And then she like gets on top of a chest, and I was like, "Hey Rose, will Jack fit on that?"
No. Forget you. You're
I mean,
not allowed on my door.
clearly this wasn't very cold water, so.
You figured it would be. They're in the Bering Sea.
No, you just
Strait, dude.
imagine it's just like Epps is just like chilling on this thing, and you just see this woman just like swimming over, and she just fucking punches Epps off. It's like mine.
Dude, there's like 2 or 3 other crates. She just beats her fucking ass. Just ass.
Get on that
Epps
one.
just drowns her ass. Like, get the fuck off here. Think for yourself, her. There's tons of these things behind me. Go grab one.
Listen, they both could have fit on that door.
Well, I know. That's what I said. She's rude as shit.
It's been 84 years.
Yeah, and I'm still mad about it.
But she's saved. Yippee. She gets saved by another ship. She is put into an ambulance, but she sees some familiar faces bringing some gold onto this new ship. Did you notice that it's her old crew? Those are
I didn't.
They work for him now. I don't think it was the actual actors. I think there was 1 or 2 that was actually I think it was like Dodge and one other person that was like actually in that scene, but they was like I don't think they had Isaiah Washington there. It was just like just put a black guy there. Just put this guy there. Like it's like but it's supposed to be her crew is now eternally in debt to this guy, and they're helping him now enact the same thing, on a different ship, because you see ferrymen follow behind, and it's like no, and then the movie ends, and then we get Mudvayne.
More Mudvayne. Yeah.
It's fucking dope, dude. The song is so good.
Are you in search of a refined and elevated podcast?
One where you can sit back with a cup of tea and indulge in the finest film cinema has to offer?
One where precision and polish comes before anything else?
Well, you've come to the wrong place.
We are Cinema Slab,
a podcast where we let our nerd flags fly and review our favorite movies and shows, new and old.
We're all besties.
And one brother and sister.
And we love discussing movies with each other. Whether it's a record-breaking television show that has us glued to our TVs every week.
We're like private investigators, except for no one hired us or asked for our help.
An ooey-gooey practical effects-filled horror movie.
Or a cult classic masterpiece.
You shoot me in a dream, you better wake up and apologize.
We're sure there's something for you on Cinema Slab.
I'm your Scream Queen, Anna.
Yeah, you're gonna love this one. It's a scream, baby.
I'm your gore gal, Hannah.
I kick ass for the Lord.
And I'm your favorite little brother, Hunter.
I'd rather not spend the rest of this winter tied to this couch.
And join us each week on Cinema Slab
as we bond together over our love of cinema.
And all things media and entertainment related.
So
fucking good.
GhostShip. Let's hear our final thoughts about it. Was it does it stay afloat or should it stay sinking? Angela?
2 thumbs way up.
Really?
Yeah, I
really
loved
like
it.
This? Wow, all right. Yeah. Very cool, very cool. So what did you like about it?
Nothing. Oh, sorry. I'm just kidding. No, go.
I love the practical effects. Like yes, there was parts of it with when they were pumping the water out of the ship, the whole scene was shaking. That bothered me. But things like that bother my eyes. But I was not very, I guess, hard on this one, like I am some with the effects. But practical effects were great. Yes, the ending was kind of, but I'm okay with that.
Dan?
I liked it. I thought it was fun. Like, I found it to be a very enjoyable movie to watch. Like, my expectations were set like stupid low. Like, I knew about the beginning because the beginning was dope. Like you said, really good way to open the movie. And I don't think it quite reaches that peak again, but I thought it was fine. Like, I mean, we get, I mean, for this type of movie that I felt was like super disposable. Like, just like when the can we picked is like GhostShip. It's like, fuck this. It's like, why are you people voting for GhostShip? Like I said, you can vote for whatever the fuck you want. I was
It's
just being an
because
idiot bitching about
yours didn't get picked.
No, it's fine. It's whatever. I just wasn't expecting it to be GhostShip, but it's fine because I'm glad it was. But it's I think I enjoyed it. I didn't mind the characters. I didn't feel like there was one that just really fucking bothered me out of the lot. I mean, they weren't like great or like some of them were just kind of underutilized there, but they were just enjoyable. It was an enjoyable film. The practical effects at the beginning were cool. There was still some stuff later in the movie, and I didn't feel there was anything. There was no real slow part to it. I think it all kind of progressed fairly naturally and had payoffs for pretty much everything that we got. We had some breadcrumbs left at the beginning that we got paid off for the end, even though it didn't always fully line up, but it was there for the most part. And I could see that this being the dude's follow-up to 13 Ghosts. Well, I think 13 Ghosts is a better movie, but I think this is close. I did enjoy this movie quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off you guys. I've always had a good time with this movie. I don't think it's nearly as bad as people say it is. Yes, that opening scene is so iconic, and it's so good that it's really hard to kind of keep up with that. It sucks when you have such an iconic opening scene and you're trying to follow that, but it's got really good kills, really good practical effects. The CG actually looks really good for 2002. And to be honest, I actually like the plot of the movie. The fact that it's like this dude is like he's got this supernatural job and he's got to fulfill it by getting other people to kind of do his biddings, and and then there's this whole story behind that, and I think it's pretty interesting. It might be cheesy that the dude's name is Ferryman. He's an actual ferryman. It's weird. It's on the nose, but it's kind of funny when they're like, let's just switch the letter to an I, and then it's just his last
name. Nobody picked up on it.
And maybe the next time for your next task, Ferryman, because I'm sure Epps is out of it. She's in the clear. Like she's done with it. Like she's
I don't think she's part of it.
Yeah, she's fine. But don't try to kill like 40 of the fucking people like before they fix the boat that you want them to fix. Maybe kill them after and make them terrified for their lives after. Like you can still get them all off and figure out some way to sink the boat so you don't sort of murdering half the crew, then have them fix it.
So what I think the reason why he kills the crew of all these salvage people that come to help is because they decide they don't want to do anything with the ship. He needs the ship. He needs the ship to go somewhere else. He needs the ship to be fixed up so that he can finish his job. The problem is they found the gold. They were going to take the gold and leave the ship, which is not. The gold is bait. It's bait he puts there to attract the people and to see whether or not they are going to do what he wants them to do, or if they're going to be greedy and take the gold and leave. And so that's why he ends up killing them.
I get that part. I just mean like he could have found a way to get them all on, some way to get them all on the boat, then figure out a way to sink the fucking boat without blowing half of them up in the process. But that's my point. Like I just feel like it could have been done differently. Because like you just get them all on, then you blow the boat up. Some other way. You figure it out without killing half of them. Then they would be probably more incentivized. Like, well, fuck, we got all this money. Like our one dude isn't beat the fuck up. Our main fucking boat repair dude, or don't just keep track of the engine, isn't dead.
Right.
Like just fix the boat. Whatever.
No, it makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense.
But he's like evil, so he clearly likes killing people regardless. So I think he just got a little too into his own little work. Started offing people.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, my overall thoughts is that I think people need to give this movie a chance. If you've never seen this movie, give it a chance. It's it has its kind of paint by numbers moments. But to be honest, I feel it's an interesting story. It's an interesting kind of take on a ghost story. You don't get there's not a lot of ghost stories on a boat. You have Death Ship, which came out in 1980, which is it has a similar tone to this. It's not exactly the same, but yeah, I just feel like there's not enough ghost stories set on boats, or just like horror movies set on boats.
I do like the fact that the ghost, the ship itself isn't a ghost. Mm-hmm. Like the ship is a real thing that needs to be maintained to some extent.
Yes,
which I think is cool.
Yeah. And the fact is that all the ghosts that are doing bad things are actually part of this plan. So
they're marked by him.
Yes, you get to see like that little the Maui hook from Moana.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is.
Is he Maui?
Huh?
He can shapeshift, dude. He's fucking Maui. He doesn't say you're welcome though.
I need.
Every time he kills
Dang
somebody,
it.
he just goes, "You're welcome."
I have got to start writing down the stuff that I comment on because I said that the girl turns into something, and now I cannot remember what I said. And you're like, yes, yes.
I don't remember. No, I don't remember. But yeah, somebody needs to make a version where it's Maui is Ferriman, and like he gets everybody on there. It's just awesome.
But I also would love to see what that original script would have been like. I would like to see that movie as well. I think that would have been interesting. All right, now we're going to go over to social media and read your comments on the movie, and we got a lot of them. We do. So we're going to start over on Twitter/X. Our first comment is from our good friend Darren, or at DW Lundberg, host of Nostalgia Cast and Back to Bluey. He said they should have ducked.
Yep. They all should have been ducks. I agree.
Quack, quack.
Oh, man.
Ducks. Ducks.
That was
quack,
trucks.
quack, quack,
Not the-
quack. It doesn't
not the
matter.
movie.
We're doing it here too.
Oh, man. So our next one is from our from a commenter who hasn't commented in a while, but he had to chime in. Our good friend Michael Howe commented, one of those films that only has one scene that anyone really remembers. And then he goes on by saying, like with the movie Up in the opening Carl and Ellie montage. And I went, comparing Ghost Ship and Up is the wildest thing I've read in a long time.
That's definitely not what I.
And he said, he then continued and said, I almost said Gladiator. But then, of course, everyone mainly remembers the opening battle and the first arena battle. And I was like, I mean, yes, they have very memorable beginnings, but to say that's all people remember from Up and Gladiator is baffling because Gladiator is fantastic. Up is fantastic. And they are definitely not movies that are just built off their openings. This movie, I understand. It is a early 2000s horror movie where the opening scene is just that iconic, where it's just like, is it going to get any better? I mean, no. In my opinion, no, because I mean the movie's still fun. It still has really great elements, but like that opening scene is just so good.
It doesn't reach that peak, but it's still decent.
I understand.
But you can't forget Doug Squirrel.
Yeah, exactly.
Our next one is from Kevin Brackett, or Kevin R. Brackett, who says, Joey Butts 21 swears this has one of the greatest openings ever. And then he commented and said, it does.
Yeah, well, there you go. He just proved his point.
I mean, to be honest, a lot of these are kind of, so SP Film Viewer says, only really remember the opening scene. Reels Feels Podcast says, this is a fun movie. Is it great? No, of course not, but it's fun. One of the best opening kills in horror. Yeah, I said it. The 2000s just had something about their horror. A VHS Doom Podcast that has an iconic opening, and then I don't remember the rest. Uncrewed Meteor said, iconic beginning, but there is a sense of predictability as the movie continues on the linear storytelling. Still, whenever this movie is on, whether it be TV, streaming service, I'm watching it. Solid movie, solid effects. It's a movie you can turn off your brain and enjoy.
Listen, fuck you, Dennis. All right. First off, no, just kidding. No, yeah, I agree. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And then our last one is from
work.
Our last one is from @supernerd525751, who says the only good thing was the opening scene, at least from what I remember. I saw it once years ago. I might have to rewatch it. Listen, I'm gonna say rewatch it. Rewatch, seriously, rewatch.
This is a rewatchable one.
And don't forget Mudvayne's there.
And Mudvayne.
We watched the whole credits for
and then we turned YouTube videos of Mudvayne. I'm like, God, they have a lot of good songs.
Now we're over to Instagram. Give me back my horror movies. Our friend Nate says, good luck.
Wow. Okay, fair. Fair.
Steve from Bucket of Chum podcast said, I honestly think this movie is a bit overrated. Every few years I rewatch it because people suddenly rediscover it. And every time it's the same. The opening scene is fucking awesome. The rest is just typical 2000s. It's not an overly bad movie, just not worth the hype. I don't really see people hype on this movie. Like, I don't see the hype for this movie. I think anytime I see anything about Ghost Ship, it's literally talking about the opening scene. So to say it's overrated, I don't agree because no one talks about this movie. Like, no one talks about it except for the opening scene. So
not in my circles. So.
Yeah. So I mean, hey, that's your opinion, and I respect it. And we love Steve over here. So thank you. And
bring forth Ghost Shark.
Yes. Nate commented on that saying opening is the only cool thing about this one. I don't agree, but that's okay. Ashley from Lullaby the Fear podcast, just with the Jimmy Fallon. Yes. Oh,
we should have had her on for this.
It was last second. I didn't want to.
I know. I'm just fucking.
She'll probably mention me like, you should have. And I'm like, well, it's too late now.
Well, next time we do a haunted ship, you can.
And our last one over on Instagram is from Big Optimist 33. Said, I saw this movie a few years ago and enjoyed it for what it was. There we go. Love it. I love it.
Thank you, Optimus.
Thank you to everyone.
Don't forget.
Yeah. Thank you to everyone who left us a comment on this movie. We appreciate you. Seriously, though, if you are on the fence about revisiting this movie, watching this movie, seriously, check it out. I would say wait until it's like on Tubi again because it's not streaming anywhere, which is really unfortunate. If you could find it cheap on like DVD, snag it. I definitely will
VHS?
if I do at some point, VHS. But if it's on Tubi, like I guarantee this is going to be on Tubi at some point in the future. It just feels like that type of movie. And
yeah,
you need to check it out. Seriously. It definitely needs a rewatch. Even if you rewatch it or watch it for the first time, you don't like it at all and don't understand why we like it. That's fine. But I really want
to tell us
to
why
check
we're
this
wrong.
one. Yeah, exactly. We love to be told that we're wrong about everything we talk about on the show. Because we're not professionals. We just talk about movies in the most non-professional way.
Yep.
But that is it. That is everything to do with Ghost Ship from 2002. We appreciate all your wonderful comments. Now, we get to talk about next week because we are jumping into a new week or new month. Sorry.
It's a new week, too.
It's a new week. It's a new month. And we're going to have a brand new guest as well. Because next week, we are jumping into our Mummy Month, where the entire month of August is going to be filled with movies about that loin, or what is it called? What is the stuff they wrap them in? Linen cloth, bandages.
Linen cloth?
We're going to be talking about a lot of mummy movies, guys. Next, drapes. Oh, because
only the finest drapes for your burial, sir.
So every single week we are talking about a mummy movie. Next week we're going to be talking about The Mummy from 1999, and we're going to be having a special guest. Some may call her a film historian that everyone needs to listen to, and some might call her a mummy superfan who's been on like 14 other podcasts to talk about this movie, and she's just adding to her collection. Because I could not think of anybody else to have on the show for this movie but M from Verbal Diorama, who is a mega mummy fan. And it's our first guest from across the pond too. So we're gonna be for the mummy episode. If some of us are still a little like waking up, it's because we're recording earlier than we've ever recorded before. But no, it's gonna be
we'll be high.
Or we'll be high.
I'm just saying it could happen.
It's going to be on a Saturday. The recording's going to be on a Saturday. I might be drinking. I mean, I don't know.
We'll see. Blitzed it like fuck it.
Whatever.
It's 5:00 somewhere.
Exactly. But we are very
England land. It is.
Yeah. I'm very excited for Em to be on the show and kind of literally share all of her love for the movie and for me to tell her all the facts that she probably already knows about the movie. So it's going to be fun. And to go through the plot with her is going to be great. But we're not just stopping there, everybody. We're going from The Mummy, then we're going to be talking about The Mummy Returns from 2001 with our good friends from Movie Dumpster. I'm very excited for that. Yeah. Then we're going to be jumping into The Mummy, the Tomb of the Dragon Emperor with our good friend Darren Lundberg. He's coming back for a third part of a movie, or third part of a trilogy that's not highly regarded.
It's going to be 3 hours long.
It's going to be great. So and then we're going to be talking about the 2017 Mummy with Tom Cruise with our good friend Old Man Brad, because we want to go through the pain, but we also wanted to drag somebody through it as well. And then, of course, our final movie of the month, because it is there will be 5 Fridays in August. So there are going to be 5 episodes having to do with The Mummy. Our final episode will be a Patreon pick, which we will not announce yet because it's still going on as of this recording. So you will find out what movie we'll be covering after our Mummy 2017 episode. So stay tuned. We got a lot of fun guests. We have a lot of crazy movies. It's going to be a great month. And thank you to everybody who downloaded the show and listened to all of our wonderful episodes during our Waterworks month. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We talked about movies all over the place. We talked about Orca from 1977. We talked about Deep Blue Sea. We talked about Ponyo. And then
Ham.
and we talked about GhostShip. So we got a lot of fun episodes coming up, but also thank you for all the love and support that you've showed us over the last 6 months, because it's been wild being back and doing all these crazy things, guys. So thank you. Also, make sure to follow us on all the social medias so that you could be a part of our comment section at the end of every episode. We're Dissect That Film on all of them. So just look us up there. You can find us on Patreon, patreon.com/Dissect That Film, where for $1 or $5, you can support us and you can get extra content such as blooper reels, outtakes, participations in polls, which will be available to all tiers, even free tiers. We even have a Patreon exclusive show called The Monster Zone, which is hosted by Dan and Angela, where once a month we spin a wheel, talk about a monster movie. For the month of August, we don't have one yet.
It'll probably be something cool.
Oh wait, no, this episode will be out in July, so it'll be Gamera versus Barugan. So there you go.
Well, that's cool, because that'll be that Barugan, not Barugan, but Gamera. He comes from the sea, so it's relevant.
So yeah, so there's a lot of fun stuff going on at Patreon right now. You can get early access to episodes. I've been really on top of those, so you get them pretty early. Usually almost a week before. So yeah. Really cool stuff happening on Patreon. So go over to patreon.com. And if you want to support us financially, if you can't do that, make sure to go to your favorite podcast app and drop 5 stars. Google Podcasts. Actually, I don't even think they exist anymore. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, anywhere you listen to us. If you can rate us and review us, please do. Leave us 5 stars. I think it helps the show out, but it also just makes us feel good. And you also support us at YouTube. At YouTube? On YouTube? I don't know. YouTube.com/Dissect That Film, where you could see us right now if you're watching us in video version. Hello, YouTube. We love you.
Yeah, and for all you audio users or audio listeners, there's various times during these videos that I could just be putting things in my mouth, and you could be watching that.
There you go. There you go.
Or I can just disappear.
Yep, she'll just leave. Sometimes I'll just leave, and Parker will too. We just won't be here, but it'll just be running.
So yeah, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on the video that you're watching right now. Make sure to subscribe, because that's cool. That helps us out, and it's free. And make sure to comment on the episode if you want to. Let us know your thoughts on the movie we're talking about. You know, something that you might want to hear us cover in the future. You can also email us at dissectthatfilm@gmail.com for suggestions on future episodes. The reason we covered Orca at the beginning of this month was because we had a few fans come reach out and be like, hey, when are you going to cover Orca? When are you going to do it? So we finally covered Orca. So if you want to see us cover a certain movie down the road, send me an email and say, hey, what do you think about this? It might not happen next month, a couple months from now, but we'll put it in the pool and we'll add it to, the collection of movies that we're going to be covering in the future. So that's all of it, guys. That's all I got. You guys got anything before we get the hell out of here?
I do.
Okay, go ahead, Dan.
It's about the M thing. M is her name, correct? For Verbal Diorama?
Yep.
Okay. Yes. She needs to, I'm just glad that we're going to be number 15, because whenever there's a 16th podcast, I don't know if that's the actual number, we'll be better than them.
Okay.
That's it. That's all I got. Oh, and I want to be that guy for Godzilla movies. It's never going to happen, but I want to be that dude. It's like, we're covering Godzilla movie. Like, all right, one day.
There you go.
That's the dream.
All I can think of is M from 007 Bond movies.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I think of the old Dexter Slab thing, Dial M for Monkey.
Oh, yeah.
Or LMNOP. That seems like it's just one thing. LMNOP. Just really fast. Yep.
Oh, man. All right, before we go, I do want to thank our patrons, starting with Billy Joseph Jr., Andrew Schoening, Corey Morissette, Jason, Dustin from the Flicks and Friends podcast, Dan and Angela of DNA Gaming, Doom Generation, Eric Stein, Robert Stewart, Rudy5453, The Baron's Hideout podcast, Dennis, Charles, The Bucket of Chum, The Shark Movie podcast, and Official Joey C. Thank you to everybody who supports us over on Patreon, and thank you to everybody who just supports us, period. We love you all, and thank you so much. And until next time, I am Brett Parker. That is Dan and Angela of DNA Gaming. We are Dissect That Film, and this has been another episode of the Dissect That Film podcast. We'll see you all again next time. All aboard!
Ahoy, me mateys!
We gotta get you a hand.
Goodbye.